Good morning. When you're comfortable, will you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi guys, I'm Chad Copley.
Chad, tell us a little bit about your background, your family, when you came to North Carolina.
Coming to North Carolina, 95, 96. I have a wife, two daughters. One's now 7, the other's 5. I have a son. He's 18. I work in the medical field. I deliver medical products to hospitals. If you go into any type of hospital, you'll see Hillrom. That's what we do. On the side, I'm a barber. I cut hair out of my shop that I've set up in my garage.
Okay. I want to back up a little bit. You said you have your son now is 18 years old.
Yes.
What's his name?
His name is Troy.
That's from your first marriage?
Correct.
Who are you married to now?
I'm married to my wife, Heather Copley.
Okay. When did y'all get married?
You'll get me in trouble for this one. 9909.
So let's back up. Before you went to work at Hillrom, where did you start working when you came to North Carolina?
When I came to North Carolina, I started working in large grocery retail. Started with the company Kroger's, North Roxborough Road in Durham, North Carolina.
Now I want to back up a little bit more. You're originally from West Virginia?
Correct.
All right. What did you do growing up? Did you do any kind of hunting and stuff like that? Or
Yes, we like to hunt, fish, outdoors type.
What did your father do?
My father worked in the coal mines, like an operation manager, looking over, make sure that everything's safe and running according to plan.
All right. What about your grandfather?
My grandfather is a master sergeant in the United States Army.
All right. So you come to North Carolina. You said you were working originally for Kroger.
Correct.
All right. Tell us a little bit about that. Your job responsibilities there.
Kroger, I started out as a bagger, got promoted pretty quickly to the meat department. Ended up cutting my finger off, and no more meat department. After that, they put me in seafood, just a little safer. I stuck around Kroger's for a little while longer after that, but I ended up leaving Kroger's, going to Harris Teeter.
Okay.
And
what kind of responsibilities did you have at Harris Teeter?
Harris Teeter, I started out as the assistant grocery manager. Then later on, I was promoted to the acting grocery manager. So my responsibilities was to run the store from 10 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning, when the store manager come to open up.
Okay. Were you working? At any point did you start working in loss prevention at any stores?
Yeah. So anytime you go through manager training, they'll train you in P&L, which is your profit and loss. And they also train you in loss prevention, shrink, and things of that nature. What to look for, what you should do if you're confronted with somebody shoplifting or possible robbery or anything of that nature.
Okay. To clarify, you were never in the military or anything like that?
No, I was not.
Or the police or anything like that?
Never.
So at Harris Teeter, did you personally deal with shoplifting and working with the police and things like that?
I sure did. Especially they moved me to a store out by the Durham Mall. There was a Harris Teeter over there, right across from Sears for the longest time. Had real bad shrink problems. Everybody from the store manager on down to the baggers. So they sent a crew of us in there to clean the store up. Several occasions that store had been robbed and held up. We had a police officer in there one time for a couple hours after we shut the store down. But after that, mall security would come by and patrol.
Did you work at any other stores?
Yes, I did. I worked at the Harris Theater in Chapel Hill, right across from the mall there as well, Estes Drive. That was a 24-hour store, so you had security in there for 24 hours. It wasn't very high shrink. There wasn't a lot of crime, but it was just required to have a security guard in there. And anybody that was assistant manager or manager or potential to become manager, we all went through a program called Train the Trainer, Profit and Loss, AP, and some other classes here in Raleigh.
Okay. Did you ever work did you work at Eckerd's?
Yes, I did. I worked for Eckerd's, a great company, by the way. It was out there on Overland Drive, the large Eckerd's. At one time, I don't know if you guys might remember this, but the JCPenney catalogs, they would actually ship to Eckerd at that store, and you could come in and pick up your package from the JCPenney catalogs as well. And I also went through some training with Eckerd and Rite Aid for P&L, loss prevention, security. Again, trained the trainer. With Eckerd, I oversee 5 stores, and that's what they call you, a pod leader.
Did you work with police when they would investigate?
I worked with police quite a lot. Not so much at Eckerd or Rite Aid, but especially like with Harris Teeter and the high crime areas with the store, and then later on with with Family Dollar. I dealt a lot with the Wilson Police Department with Family Dollar.
Sir, do you need some water? Or?
Yeah.
You said you worked at Family Dollar?
Yes, sir.
You work with police investigating loss
I worked.
situations there?
Yeah, we worked with police a lot in Wilson. People would come in and fill duffel bags full of toothpaste, soap, shampoo, and then go sell them at the little swap meet in Wilson. So we would catch people on a regular basis. I would catch a guy in the morning, 7 o'clock. He would come back at 7 o'clock in the evening. I'd catch him again. He'd say, "My bad, man. I thought you already went home for the day."
Did police ever bring to your attention issues with what they believed to be gangs stealing from the stores?
Yeah, we had. They would tell you what to look out for. Maybe suspected that there was some gang activity in Wilson. Wilson it was growing at the time, and you had people moving out, people moving in. So they would tell you what to keep an eye out for, so you could train your staff to be alert if somebody come in meeting that description.
Okay. When did you move to 3536 single leaf lane?
November 2008.
What kind of work was your wife doing at the time, or even now?
She's underwriter for large firms. We're dealing with agriculture like swine and crop, pecans, anything like that nature.
All right. And you and Heather bought the house at Single Leaf together?
Correct.
You said you have 2 daughters, Cameron and Catherine?
They are.
Back on in August of 2016, how old were those girls?
They were 5 and 3.
I want to back up a little bit. When did Troy come to stay with you? here in North Carolina?
Troy come to stay with me, I'd say March or April. He lived with his mother, and I finally got him. He was going to live with me, been in and out of trouble. He'd gotten his girlfriend pregnant. So we took her in as well too, because they were together at my ex-wife's house. So took him in and wanted to get their lives back on track. Took him to Zebulon to get WIC, to get if they could get food stamps or any other type of assistance they could get. So we tried to be like mentors to him and his girlfriend. That didn't last too long. She ended up going back home. We had her mother and her father come over, her stepfather come over, had a conversation with her, and they wanted her back home. So she ended up going back home. Troy ended up running away for a while, and coming back, and that's a habit my son has, is running off and coming back.
This is going on in the summer of 2016?
Yes, correct.
Was there ever an incident between you and Troy and his friends out there on single leave that summer?
There was one, yes.
What happened?
My son had we had words. He at that time he'd run off again. His mom was worried about him. Thought he was doing some heroin. She said that she thought he OD'd because he posted something on Snapchat or Twitter, Facebook, some social media site. So I got a hold of him and got him. He said he's coming over to talk. Would come over and he was high out of his mind, and hit my son, and his friends jumped in, and I'll give him that, man. They tore me up pretty well.
His friends out there on single leave lane?
Yeah.
Can you say trouble? I think you said drug use. What other? I mean, how would you describe Troy?
He's wild. He needs guidance in his life. Does drugs. From what I hear, marijuana, some Molly. He said he never did the heroin, but it's just that he's wild and he'll just up and run off. All of a sudden, you think everything's going good, and the next day he's gone. It's like he doesn't want the good.
Right now, despite the good in him, do you worry about people he hangs around with at times?
I worry about that constantly.
I want to talk a little bit about the morning of August the 6th of 2016. How did your day start that morning?
My day started off pretty bad that morning. My wife and I, we were arguing. We were getting along. I don't know what we was arguing about.
Where was Troy? Is he still absent and not talking to you, or did he come back, or what?
Yeah, at that time, he was absent. He had taken off approximately 2 weeks before. My wife and I just got back from vacation not too long before that, and I'd been trying to contact him, and I got no answers from him.
I want to talk a little bit about things in your house. I don't think we've seen a lot of photos, or we've seen some photos from your house, but what kind of firearms did you have in your house?
I had a Mossberg 500 pump 12 gauge and a a Winchester 30-30.
All right, this Winchester 30-30 rifle, where did you get that?
I got that from my father, sent it down from his father, my grandfather. Got that on my birthday.
Okay. What was that for, really, that rifle?
That rifle was for really, you would take it deer hunting, something of that nature.
Okay. Did you keep it loaded in the house?
No, I never even got around to firing that gun.
Okay. What about this Mossberg pump action shotgun? Where did you get that?
I bought that at a gun store in Mooresville. But I got it for a fairly good deal. It came standard with a pistol grip. So I took the pistol grip off and I put a regular stock on it. So that way it could be for home defense and possibly, I don't know, maybe like a rat gun or scattered shot for snakes. I did take it turkey hunting once, and I figured out real quick that small barrel, you're not going to hit a turkey. So I went and bought a longer barrel for it, a turkey barrel with a turkey choke on eBay. So I'd swap it out, and I would take that hunting. If I was doing some quail or something like that, I would just change the choke tubes out. When I come back home, I'd break it down, clean it, put the smaller barrel on for home protection, slide it under the bed.
Okay. Was the smaller barrel you're talking about, was that the way you bought it off the shelf at the store?
Yes, it was.
What kind of ammunition, did you keep it loaded?
I did not.
Where did you keep it and how did you keep it?
I kept it under the bed, my side of the bed, in case someone broke in the house, unloaded.
Where did you keep the ammunition or the shells?
The shells were on the nightstand beside me.
Do you have anything else in the house, like a rifle with a high capacity magazine or a pistol, stuff like that, anything like that?
No.
All right. Did your wife know about that firearm?
She did.
Let's go back to the morning of August 6, 2016. Said that you had an argument with your wife.
I did, yes.
What happened then? I guess that was in the morning.
Yeah, she took Cam and Kat, and they went out for the day. Went to the park or wherever, had some lunch, and they then came back. I'd say it was probably at 7 o'clock. That's time for them to eat, around 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you may have said this. Where was Troy again? Had he come back?
No, not at that point in time. He has not come back.
All right. Okay, so tell us a little bit more then from that point in time. Make sure I'm not confused. Is that when your wife got back with Catherine and Cameron?
She did, yes. And then she, I've been drinking a little bit that day, sleeping, just hanging out in the garage. That's where I normally hang out whenever we got into an argument. They came back, and my wife, she tried to make up with me, and was just stubborn and hard-headed. I didn't want to hear anything she had to say. So I'd hide to my kids and shut the door. Went back to sleep on the couch.
By couch, are you talking about this garage area?
Yeah, the garage area was barbershop, man cave put together. When my son come to live with us, that was the only room I could put him in. So we was in the process of shutting all that down and turning it into an actual livable space for him.
Not to digress too much, but you said you were running a barber shop in there, kind of informally. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I don't have a barber's license. I have not taken the test, so I cannot work in a barber shop. I can cut hair, just don't, I can't charge for it as long as it's out of my house, from my understanding.
Okay. I guess folks are coming up your garage. From your perspective, I guess your neighbors could see that.
Yes, correct. I'd have quite a few people come over for haircuts. Some of them from neighborhoods over, something like that, that reached out via Facebook or the next door neighbor app that we had. Then I'd also go out and cut hair a couple times at the boys club in Durham, and then we had do the St. Baldwin's Foundation, where you shave your head. So I got to participate in that a couple years ago as well.
How are your relationships with your neighbors?
They're fairly well. I kind of kept to myself. I wasn't really a hang out with the neighbors type of guy. Just like to be hung out with myself. I would say hi to them, check on them if they needed anything. But yeah, basically I would just kind of hang to myself.
You heard in this trial a neighbor who lived behind you suspected you of throwing things in her backyard. Did you do that?
I did not.
You have any ill will for her?
No, I do not. We was looking for people that actually was doing that. You know, like she said, she has a small child. We're not going to throw anything like that over the fence. I didn't really even know them, but from what I've understood is their home or their yard or property had been vandalized. Miss Cynthia's home, she had behind her house, this runs like a creek or a ditch or something that will lead to another neighborhood over. She'd have people walk that path quite frequently and kind of hang out down at the bottom of her house.
Were there teenage kids in that neighborhood, or older, or teenage to young adults?
Yes, teenage to young adults, correct?
There were.
Yes.
Has there ever been an incident in that neighborhood with, to your knowledge, before, where anyone was ever hurt?
Objection. Sustained.
Or Chad, we were talking about your neighborhood and your relationships with your neighbors. What about Mr. Dean, who lives next door to you? How's your relationship with him?
Cordial. I mean, we never hung out. Would say hi to him and send him out in the yard.
Okay. What about your next door neighbor on the other side of you? If you were walking to what we've all called during this trial, the party house. Who lives there?
That's Miss Inez. She at that time she was living there with her son, his wife, and they just had a child. That's probably 3 years old, I think, at the time.
How old is Miss Inez?
65, 70.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit now again about what was happening on August the 6th, 2016. You said you were in your garage, which is really like a den or a man cave, as you call it. I think you said that you had something to drink. Approximately how much had you had to drink on the 6th?
Approximately two margaritas.
Okay. Were you keeping count?
No.
Were you taking a nap, watching the game? What were you doing exactly?
Just sleeping. That's one of my favorite things to do, sleep. I just decided I'm going to hang out, sleep. May have turned TV on, but I turned it off. Just kind of hung out, feeling sorry for myself, fighting with my wife.
This is a Saturday, I take it, right?
Yes, that's right.
You're not just sleeping all week, are you?
No.
At any point that evening, or late afternoon, did Troy come back?
Troy come back that night around, I'd say 11 o'clock or so.
11 p.m. or so?
Yes, correct, yeah.
So before that, what did you do that evening? Did y'all have dinner together or put the kids to bed? What happened?
No, I was still being hard-headed and stubborn all day. My wife, we finally, about 10 o'clock, you know, she'd come down and try to make up with me. I was just going, I don't have nothing to do with you. Still being hard-headed. About that time, about 11 o'clock or so, Troy came back. And I was like, all right, good. He came back, and him and Heather talked, and they worked some things out. She had thought that he took her van on one occasion, took it out joyriding. And that kind of upsetted me. That had a lot to do with the day, too. But they ended up working everything out. And Troy come out in the garage and was like, hey, Dad. I was happy to see him. Okay.
Your Honor, this is going to a state of mind. It's not being offered for the truth of the matter, sir. It's not hearsay, Your Honor. That's right.
All right.
Please, yeah, continue.
All right, so fine. Troy's back. I'm happy he's back. Heather's happy he's back. I'm still being hard-headed though, and she goes back upstairs. I come out and I'm like, man, I done messed this whole day up. Just being mad at my wife. I'm gonna try to fix it. So I told my son, I was like, we'll talk in the morning. We'll get everything fixed and squared away. He's like, okay, no problem. So I told him that we would square it away. That's when I went upstairs to try to salvage what I could with the argument me and my wife was having.
What happened then?
Well, we made up. You know, everything's good. We kind of drift off to sleep, and I don't know. Sometimes after midnight, I wake up and I'm like, you know, try to get some make-up sex. So at that point in time, my wife looked out the window and she sees people up there.
Yeah, without talking about what your wife saw, what happened?
All right. Well, I saw some cars up the road and some people up the road, and I took it as people just wilding out. That's what I said. And I went to use the bathroom and freshen up, and came back.
Just without saying what your wife was saying, what was her demeanor? Excited, calm?
A little bit curious as to what was going on.
Okay. What time was this about?
This was about 12:30. Looking at the party house.
What do you mean by that?
Two doors down, 2 houses down.
To the left. You're facing out of your house to the left, 2 houses up.
2 houses down to the left.
Okay. What happens after that?
Well, me and my wife, we have our makeup sex, and I don't perform too well. I had a hard time rising to the occasion, and so I got upset about it.
Okay. What happens then?
Happened to look out the window, and I have a gathering of people outside my window. I have a white car with a group of people around it. It's a red car and a silver car parked close together. There's some gatherings of people out there too. They're yelling and screaming back and forth. One or two of the people in the groups, like they're arguing. They're revving their engines. Sounds like they're revving their engines. So I open the window and I yell out the window, "You guys keep it the fuck down. We're trying to sleep in here."
So your bedroom is is upstairs and at the furthest end of the house, facing the street?
Correct. Upstairs, furthest right, facing the street.
What happens at that point?
At that point, they yell back, "Shut the fuck up, fuck you, go inside, white boy," things of that nature.
What else did you see?
I seen some firearms out in the crowd. Three people had firearms. One of the gentlemen that had firearms, big baggy white shirt, had red shoes. Another gentleman, red hat, red shirt, had one, and then the third gentleman, he had black shoes on that looked like Adidas. If they were three stripes, the stripes actually reflect in light. That was out there in the street, stuck out in my head. He was the fellow that actually aimed a gun up in my area at that window.
Why were shoes important to you?
Shoes are important. Anytime you go through loss prevention training or any kind of training like that, the police department or detective, whoever's training you, even the company will tell you, always make sure you look at their shoes, because they'll go home and change, but they'll keep their shoes on. And a lot of the stores you'll walk into and you'll see at the doors like a measurement. You know, I'm sure you guys have seen those. That's actually so you can, with they running out the door, you can tell the detectives and the police officers what their height was.
Okay. What, to the best of your recollection, when you say firearms, where did you see them and how could you see them?
Two of the gentlemen, baggy white shirt guy and red hat, red shirt guy, actually lifted their shirts up, flashing the firearms. The other gentleman pulled his all the way completely out. So I got to see that one come out pretty well.
Was it pulled out, like pointed at you, or more just showing it off? Like, how would you describe it?
It was pulled out, aimed in my direction. The other gentleman was more or less showing them off, like flashing them.
Okay. What did you do at that point?
At that point in time, I told my wife, "I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to get Troy." My first thought at that was, this is Troy outside, raising hell. These are his friends. You know, what's he doing? Why is he doing this again? Because it would be a stunt at that time my son would pull.
What do you mean by that? Why would you assume Troy might be out there with some of the folks you were seeing?
He's a hoodlum as well. He gets a wild hair up his ass and he just decides to go do whatever it is he wants to do, you know, without any consequence to other people.
What's your definition of a hoodlum?
It's like a juvenile delinquent, someone that will not listen to authority or listen to their parents and just kind of takes every day as that day and doesn't care about the tomorrow. They're living in that day because that's all they care about.
Is it fair to say you were mad at Troy at that point?
Yeah, I was.
Why did you call 911?
The 911 call, it went out. My wife and I were going back and forth. I'm like, I'm just going to go downstairs. I'm gonna get him and, you know, put him back in the house. She's like, "No, you need to call 911. You need to call 911. So pick up the phone and I called 911. And yet,
Let's stop you right there.
all right.
On On the 911 call that was played in the court, we heard Mr. Latour, emphasize this. I'm gonna kill him or something like that. What were you saying? What were you thinking? What did you mean?
I was thinking my son's out there, and it's my wife's like, don't go out there, don't, just call the police. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna fucking kill him, meaning my son. I was upset. I'm thinking, this is Troy. These are people that Troy knows. They're in the house, or out in front of the house rather, and they're just pulling another stunt.
Okay. In this 911 call, you don't give the specific address of your house. Why is that?
And there's a couple reasons for that. One, I believe that you had some people that were racing up and down the street. So the whole single leaf lane it's not a very large street, 4 or 5 blocks maybe. The number 2 reason this one was important is if my son is out there, I do not want his name put into this. I don't want the cops to roll up and pick him up and get him sent back to Wake County Detention Center again for being outside, and possibly with that crowd of people.
Was it really your idea to call 911 at first?
No.
Is that your wife?
Yes.
What did you do after that?
After that, I grabbed the Mossberg, and
Before or after?
after the 911 call. Yes, after 911 call, I grabbed the shotgun, and but I loaded with 5 rounds.
All right. In the call you say you're locked and loaded. What do you mean by that?
Locked and loaded it's a term that I believe that represents just that. You're locked and loaded. You have your magazine loaded, or your tube or your chamber that you're loaded. Your locked is your safety. You have your safety lock on.
Okay. What happened after that?
After that, my wife's like, "Don't go down. Don't go out there. There's just gonna be more trouble." And I'm gonna go to Troy. So I go downstairs, and as I'm running around the corner, I see two gentlemen in the backyard. One of them did have a white shirt on. The other one, I don't really have a good description of him. It's dark clothing. They were in the back. I'm thinking my son's out back now, hanging out with this fella smoking. So I'm like, Troy. I grab the garage door, open it, and Troy's not outside. He's out in the garage on the couch.
All right.
So, Troy, these people, possibly he's heard me upstairs or heard me outside. He's come back in the house to play it off like I was never outside, Dad. He said no, he did not know, and I believe he did not know.
How did that make you change in your feelings, if in any way? Or
we were at that point. We were all in the garage, and you could see out the garage windows, and you could see the crowd and the gathering of people. And when my son told me, I don't know those people, I seen the look in his eyes of true fear. So I told him, grab the 30-30, a box of shells, we got to go upstairs.
I want to back up. Where had your wife gone? When you were coming downstairs, to your knowledge, what was your wife doing? Heather?
From my knowledge, I didn't think she was even behind me. By the time I got in the garage and I'm talking to Troy, she'd come up behind me, and we got into the garage.
Where are your children's bedrooms?
The children, I have Cam's bedroom is right beside of ours, facing the street. Kat's bedroom is right across from Cam's, facing the backyard area.
After you load the shotgun you go downstairs, to your knowledge, what had your wife done with the young girls?
To my knowledge, she had got them into the bedroom.
Okay. Away from the street?
Yes.
What happened then? You're now talking about you in the garage?
Yeah, in the garage, I get in front of Troy, and I just go up. We got to get out of here. We got to get upstairs. It was brought to my attention that somebody was.
Objection.
Is it right on the list? Thank you. What did you hear, and what did that make you do?
I heard Chad, or the front yard. Oh my God, they're in the front yard.
Who's saying that?
My wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had wanted Troy to be upstairs with your wife and young children?
Correct.
Why did you want him up there with that rifle?
If something like that happens, you get everybody together in the room, and that you're safest that way instead of spread out throughout the house.
Okay. Do you see anyone? All right, describe this garage and the doors. I mean, I know we've seen photos, but describe it.
You have to walk down the hallway approximately 15 feet. You have the garage door on your right. It leads right out to the garage. The garage is attached to the house.
Okay. Is there anything on the garage door for security purposes?
The rolling door itself,
Yeah.
that is locked. It's under key and lock, so nobody can just break in.
How thick is that door?
The door is very thin. It's about as thick as a piece of sheet metal.
You able to hear pretty well things outside if you're in there?
You can hear people walking. If you're in there with the garage door shut, we have a lot of pine straw and stuff around our house, so you hear somebody walking if you're in there.
What about the windows? How high do they come up on you and their size and all that?
The windows they approximately come up 4.5 feet. There's 4, maybe 5 of them, I believe. They're 8 by 10 or 10 by 10, something in that area.
Okay. Did you have the lights on in the garage?
The lights were on and the TV was on as well.
Could you see outside? How well could you see outside in the yard?
You can see outside fairly well. We have a street light that's right at the edge of our house between our property and Miss Inez's property.
Okay. What happens next?
I'm able to look through the window, and I see two people standing by my wife's van. One person's directly behind the van, has a white shirt on, and there's another guy that's off to the side of the van, like the driver's side. He has a red hat, red shirt.
What kind of hat did you think it was at the time?
I believe to be Atlanta Hawks hat.
What did you see after that? Or what did you do to? What did you say? Anything?
I start yelling, leave the premises. I have a firearm. PD is on the way. So I'm yelling this several times, and I got their attention, but they did not seem like they wanted to leave.
By PD, do you mean police?
Yes, police department. I'm sorry, police department. Exit the property. I have a gun.
Did they run off and leave your driveway?
The red hat guy, he took off towards the tree lines, and the guy with the white shirt kind of just hung out mainly where he was at behind the van. If he was walking, he would have been walking back towards the tree line as well. And then the gentleman that was going towards the tree line with the red hat, red shirt, just decides to come back into the yard for some reason. So he's heading back towards our window, towards the house.
Where approximately in the yard are you seeing this?
We have a little natural area. We're in the middle of the yard. We have the water meter, and you have two pipes sticking out of the garage. Be right in that area where those two pipes are at.
What'd you see then?
I kept telling him to leave, and he didn't leave. He reached for his gun, and I shot him.
Let's back up. Where were you positioned?
I was positioned in front of the window, looking out.
What movements did you see that night or that early morning?
He was reaching over, grabbing for his gun.
Where did you aim?
I was going to aim for his chest. I believe he was going to turn around and fire in my direction. He wouldn't stop.
See him fall?
I didn't see him fall. I didn't even know I hit him at first. He just spun around, threw his gun out, started walking back out of the yard. I run upstairs with wife and kids. When I get upstairs, he's laying down. Now he's on the ground. There's some people around him.
To your knowledge, were there other 911 calls from your house?
Yeah, my wife called twice.
I want to talk a little bit about what happened with the police. They come to your house.
They do.
Did you cooperate with the police?
I did.
They take you down to the police station, Chad?
Yes.
So around 4 a.m. where you waived rights and interviewed with the police?
I did.
In the second or third 911 call, as well as to Detective Stroud, who was interviewing you, this man right here, why did you call that shot a warning shot?
At first, I didn't think I killed him. And I messed up. I called it a warning shot. Thought that's what I was supposed to do. Fire a warning shot first. And I lied to the police. I'll take responsibility for my actions.
All right. Never had defense training before in firearms.
No. No,
Did you try to interview with the police?
I did.
Were you completely honest with Detective Stroud or the other Detective Quagliera?
No,
Do you have regrets?
I do.
What are they?
I should have listened to my wife.
What do you mean by that?
She told me not to go out there, not to make a big deal out of it. I should have listened to her.
You never went outside then?
Never.
You didn't? Did you break out that glass or did you shoot through it?
I shot through it.
What feelings do you have about the gentleman?
I feel like shit, man. He had his.
Without using any more profanity.
I'm sorry.
Tell us about that.
Was his friends were up here talking about him. And, man, he seemed like a good kid. They gotta get an apartment together. I could see that as me when I was younger. They said, you know, he was. He's the one to keep him safe and look out for him. He was going to get a tattoo on his stomach, Buddha, man. That's.
Did you see that happen in Detroit?
Objection.
One moment, Your Honor. Hold this. Are there any tissues?